Alright, good afternoon folks. Okay, another video about the struts. I have changed it yet again. As shown on the previous video, it just wasn't really holding up well enough. And I got given another set of struts yesterday. Come with a canopy, stripped down. And yeah, I don't know what the strength is. There's some numbers printed on it, but they don't really mean anything to me. So it doesn't, say so many Newton meters, pounds or whatever. Oh, excuse me. Anyway, yeah, considerably longer than the previous ones. I sort of didn't really want to go long because I'm trying to not, use up the load space or have, things hitting and anything that I put in there. But anyway, yeah, so, yeah, to start with, I've put another, I also didn't want to add more weight to it, but yeah, put another bar on there. It's actually got a bit of a buckle in it. It's actually rubbing on the side of here, so I'm going to take that off and give it a bit of a hit with the hammer until it gets clearance. I've also got a tab here. I've only tacked it on. I'll plug weld that next time I've got the bonnet off. Also finished this cut on. I opened this cut because I had to bend it. I cut this open because I had to bend it, and I didn't actually get around to welding that up, so yeah, do that at the same time. The disadvantage to these is they're not just a bolt fit like the other one. They're riveted onto the plate, and they don't have a clip to separate the ball part from the outer joint either, so they're just a solid made in place thing. So yeah, I've had to they do up and unscrew. Not going to be able to do that one-handed, but oh yeah, they do actually. So they do unscrew from here. So yeah, but yeah, I've had to cut those brackets and make them so that they bolt on. So I've got to trim a bit more off this. I've gone for a thick bit of metal here so that I can thread into it. They're an 8mm thread. This thread's a bit thinner. I've just gone 2 6mm, and yeah, screw threading them straight in there. But yeah, it's working. It's now holding up just from this one. Yeah, this one strut, and it didn't work at first. I had it back here in this position. That didn't work. I moved it forward a little bit better, still not working properly. And that's, yeah, I'm going to weld those two plates together and trim it up a bit, take the excess off it. But yeah, that actually holds this reinforcing bar to the framework then, so that'll be a good thing. But what I did have to do in order to move it forward is I've had to cut out of this hinge so that it comes up a bit higher. And yeah, I was tempted to actually cut this off, but then I realised this is there for a reason. This is so that if any water gets past the seal, it hits here and then runs off, which it won't at the moment. It'll run back into it, but yeah, I'm going to have to build that up, make it so that it does run out. It's a design feature so that, as I said, yeah, so if water gets past the rubber seal, it doesn't actually run into the body. Yeah, so as I said, I've been able to lift it up. I would have liked it to have come up here to get the arm vertical. That's where you get the most from strength. Yeah, if you can get that vertical. So the more angle you got this on, the more pressure it needs to hold it up. So if you can get it vertical, then you don't need as much pressure. And yeah, because the length, in order to get it straight, I'd had to take it, right up further. Yeah. So yeah, the best option would have been a shorter strut. But yeah, you get something for free, you use it. It's a whole lot better than going in and buying new ones, really. So, better for me anyway. But yeah, that would have been the better option, is to get one that's a couple of inches shorter. But as I said, it's working good. So you can see on the other side, I've unbolted the hinge. And that, yeah, it's fully up. Yeah, so you can see how much extra I've lifted the bonnet up. So yeah, that's the other thing with your load too. The more lean you've got on the door or bonnet that you're putting on it, the more strength you require. So if you can have the door actually vertical when it's fully up, well, then you don't require anywhere near as much pressure in your strut. So there's quite a few things that go into it. You can see markings on here. That was measuring, the length of this plus the head of it, which would have come to about here somewhere. And then give myself a little bit of extra room, just to make sure that when I closed it, the strut didn't bind against the head. But as it is, it's too long to that's where I sort of originally aimed to place it. But yeah, it's still too long to do that. And you don't want it to say, I mean, I could have got it there, but I would have had to have strapped this up and compressed it somewhat, and then every time you take it off and put it back on, which will be happening a few times yet before it's finished, you've got to strap it up and everything. So it's better if you can fit it on with it fully extended anyway. Yeah, I sort of I was thinking about how my app wasn't working as well, and whereas the back one just basically works straight off. And I was looking at two things: the angle of the lid and the angle of the strut, and that's what I realised, why it wasn't working properly. Like this is only 100 Newton, it holds it up perfectly well. And I had two of them on the front, and it's not, the bonnet isn't really sort of double the size. I suppose it could be, but it should have worked. Two of these should have worked on there, but they didn't. And even when I went up to 50 Newton stronger on each, it still wasn't working. But that was the whole of it. It was the angle of the lid and the angle of the strut. So I've still got to change this. This holds, but it's not as strong. See, if you bump it, well, hard enough, it will fall down. It's not really sort of satisfactory yet. So, but yeah, the other one, like this is 100 and 150 Newton ones that I bought just recently, are about an inch or so longer. So I'm still going to have to cut this, pull it up a bit more. Would have had to do that anyway, because when it closes in, it actually hits on there. So yeah, I would have had to move it anyway. So yeah, no great drama. Another bonus too in it being up higher. So it's above my head now. Before it was right at head height. So, and given I bang my head into things regularly, I've got always got some sort of a scab healing on my head. Before that heals up, I'll injure it again. I'll bump my head on something else. So yeah, having it now above head height, that's a bonus as well. So yeah, I do a little bit of a diagram, just for anybody wanting to set up struts. Just a little bit of a guide on what you're trying to achieve. So what we got here, so we're drawing pivot points. This is the pivot point for the hood, and like without measuring distance and going into calculations and this, we're just sort of drawing a random point. But say that's the strut point. When you pivot it and get the radius, this is how it works. See, the outer line, that's the radius of your bonnet when it opens. And when you come to the point where you put your strut, yeah, it's a smaller radius, and that's why. See, as it goes up, the strut extends as it goes up due to the position and the increased and decreased radius. But what you sort of want to try and achieve is, so you have a point when you're closing it and opening it where your strut is the least extended, the most compressed. And you want to try and get that so that it gets past that point and that your strut starts opening again when it's in the closed position. That way it's not trying to lift it continuously. It gets to a point so that when it's closed, the strut is actually pushing it closed again. And it also makes it, that little bit easier on shutting and opening it. So, just sort of a little bit of a guide. So if you're making something that you're intending to put struts on, or trying to replace some old mechanism with gas struts, just something to take into consideration. Anyway, as I said, we still haven't got on to finishing the putty, and I sort of basically need to do this anyway, but it all needs to be done, but it's probably better to get all this finished before I finish the puttying anyway, and any excuse to not do something that I don't really like doing is a good one, so, but inevitably I'll have to get on with it, so, and get it finished. As I said, I want to try and use it next weekend, so, a lot of work to be done. Got to get it finished, get it painted, so, at the very least it has to be fully sealed up before I can take it out in the weather, so. Alright, we'll leave it at that again, so thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.